Gotham Garage's legal battle with Warner Brothers over some copyright infringement issues hit the headlines in 2011. The reality television star and garage owner Mark Towle was the defendant in the case, and it was DC Comics, a subsidiary of Warner Brothers Discovery, that filed the charge. Mark was accused of creating cars using a design owned by the American comic publisher. In 2013, the federal district court ruled in favor of the complainant. It was moved to the Court of Appeals, and a three-part test was used to ascertain the validity of the complaint by DC Comics. It resulted in the same verdict, so the defendant brought the case to the Supreme Court in 2016, but the higher court refused to hear it. Successful car owner and restorer Mark Towle gained a great reputation for creating props for movie sets, and later on for offering customized replicas of vehicles that were featured in Hollywood films and TV shows. A native Californian, Mark Towle came from humble beginnings, as he was raised with his three siblings by a single mom. He was taught the value of hard work early in life, that it was the only way to secure financial stability, not only for himself but also for his family. Like many people in the low economic spectrum of society, he did odd jobs while growing up to help his mother. Since he couldn't afford to buy new things, he, along with his best friend, would go dumpster diving to look for broken toys or gadgets, and through immense patience and desire for learning, he developed skills in fixing them. When he was 16, he was fortunate to find work in a local auto shop, because it was there that he found what he wanted to do in life. Mark continued to learn how to fix things by taking on diverse projects, not knowing that they would serve as his training ground for a great future ahead. With his talent and determination, in 1998, he used all his savings, accumulated from being a well-known studio props creator in Hollywood, to open his own shop and called it Gotham Garage in Temecula, California. This time he went into car building, and aside from replicas of cars featured in the movies, he started restoring classic cars and flipping them, developing a reputation for accepting car restoration work rejected by other auto shops. He loved to challenge himself and wouldn't say no to those clients, which made Gotham Garage unique and led to its success. With the proliferation of automotive-related shows in the cable TV industry and other streaming platforms in the last decade, it wasn't a surprise that a production company offered Mark Towle and Gotham Garage's crew a reality TV show. On 14 September 2018, CarMaster's Rust to Riches made its worldwide premiere on the popular streaming network Netflix. The basic narrative was that Mark's resident dealmaker, Sean Pilot, would go out and enter into a series of car trades and potential restorations that would lead them to their ultimate moneymaker. They would start with a simple, inexpensive car amounting to no more than $1,000, restore it, and then trade it for a more valuable car. They would repeat the same process until it reached $100,000 or more. Mark's crew included Constance Nunez, the engine specialist, Michael Caveman Pyle, the mechanic, and Tony Quinones, the master machinist. CarMaster's Rust to Riches might not be the top automotive reality TV show in the world, but it garnered a devoted fan base. From discussions in online forums, viewers enjoyed the effortless and comfortable banter between the crew, saying that the show needn't resort to dramatic confrontations. Apparently, some viewers wanted straight-up car restoration, and the natural tension in a workplace due to the pressure of meeting a deadline, or just plain frustration for things that didn't go their way. They also loved all the car trades, along with the car customizations within one episode. Each season had 8 episodes, and even during the pandemic when other shows took a break, Mark's reality TV show continued filming and airing. Sean and Mark continued visiting junkyards and wreckers to acquire old car parts for their concept car project, which would be the start of a series of car trades and restorations to achieve their ultimate goal of reaching $250,000. To get to that point, they needed money to expedite their plans. They built one Gotham Garage-style rat rod using a 1928 Essex with a new engine mixed with salvage parts. After it was restored, it was sold for close to $30,000. Next, Sean had a high-end client who wanted his Elite Laser 917 restored to a race-worthy vehicle for an easy $40,000. And they needn't buy the Porsche engine the owner wanted because it was provided as well. The only catch was that the owner was a race car driver with the best track time of 2 minutes 3 seconds, and wanted his speed to be under 2 minutes. It was quite a tall order, but he promised to give them a bonus of $10,000 if they achieved it. They faced the challenge head-on and nailed it, so they got the bonus money. With what they earned, they bought another car to restore and flip until the profit grew to match their ultimate goal. Most reality shows these days are accused of actually being unreal, and viewers couldn't be blamed as there were certain elements in the shows that contributed to this assumption. In the case of Car Master's Rust to Riches, most fans doubted the resume of a couple of Mark's crew members, Constance Nunez and Sean Pilot, with some believing that these two were only added to the crew to make the show more interesting. Constance was supposed to be an engine specialist in the garage, but looked more at home on fashion catwalks or at red carpet events. She never hid that she was also a model on the side. However, her long nails were maintained beautifully all the time in the garage, so it seemed highly unlikely that she could comfortably work with screwdrivers and wrenches. Most agreed that she was there to be the eye candy of the show, even if she grew up with a car builder for a father. Sean was the deal maker on the team, but they never talked about him being a professional poker player and an actor. He played in major poker competitions and won some of them. He dabbled in acting, and his most interesting work was in the movie Three Kings with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. But all pretended that they were financially dependent on the success of the shop. When it was reported that there was a case between Warner Brothers and Gotham Garage over copyright infringement, most people wondered about the reason behind it. However, those car enthusiasts who had been following the career of the car restorer and prop creator immediately knew it had to be about the iconic comic vehicle, the Batmobile. Batman was a popular superhero created by Bob Kane, launched on 30 March 1939 in the American book Detective Comics, which later on went by the name of DC Comics. In the story arc, the superhero owned a car which was christened the Batmobile. When the live-action TV version of the comic book was made in 1966 and aired on ABC, popular Hollywood car builder and designer George Barris was tapped to create the car, which was inspired by the 1955 Lincoln Futura. The 1989 movie version of the Batmobile was made by movie production designer Anton Furst, who handed the rights to Warner Brothers. In 2011, DC Comics Warner Brothers filed a case against Mark Towle because the latter built and sold 3 cars that were replicas of the Batmobile. The first 2 were replicas of the 1960s version and were sold for a total of $170,000. The third car was a replica of that featured in the 1989 Batman movie, which starred Michael Keaton. DC Comics said that Mark willfully violated the copyright and trademarks that they owned. The case was described as somewhat provocative, and people in the car building and restoration industry were deeply interested in its outcome. The lawyer who represented Warner Brothers, J. Andrew Coombs, stated in the papers submitted to the court, "Batmobile incorporates trademarks with distinctive secondary meaning." He said that with the replicas that were sold, Mark would have created confusion with the consumers, who would mostly think that they were products manufactured by DC Comics. He argued that the Batmobile vehicles are never referred to simply as cars, but rather always by name, Batmobile. It was designed with futuristic elements to it, which were highly uncommon in regular vehicles out there at the time. He mentioned that the Batmobile was also used to interact with popular superheroes in the story, such as Batman and Robin, which served as a fundamental part of the story arc, whether in the comics, TV series, or movies. They also included in the lawsuit the defendant's use of Batman trademarks when he advertised his replicas. There were those who thought that the lawsuit was quite trivial and should have been settled out of court. However, Mark said, "The fact is that the issues that will be decided will have a significant impact on automobile makers and manufacturers," and was the reason why he continued defending his case. He was represented by lawyer Larry Zerner, and his main argument, as stated in the legal papers submitted, was based on the U.S. copyright law. It is black-letter law that useful articles, such as automobiles, do not qualify as sculptural works. Their camp further stated that cars simply were not eligible for copyright protection. For instance, no individual could copyright the basic hood of an automobile because it served a useful purpose, such as for protection. While DC Comics insisted that the Batmobile was unfairly exploited and unlawfully distributed, Mark countered it with an automobile is an automobile argument. He believed that DC Comics or any entertainment company didn't have the right to prevent anyone from creating replicas of automobiles. His defense team also used the laches defense to the trademark infringement claim. That is, an unreasonable delay had occurred from the alleged offense to the filing of the charge. In February 2013, the lawsuit between DC Comics and Mark Towle in the Federal District Court concluded with a 54-page ruling released by U.S. District Court Judge Ronald Liu. He declared that the court found that the Batmobile was a copyrighted character and sided with the plaintiff, writing, "The Batmobile is a character and exists in both 2- and 3-dimensional forms." It meant that the existence of the Batmobile in the 3-dimensional form was a result of it being featured in the 1966 TV and 1989 movie versions. He ruled that the Batmobile was a character, and the argument of it being a useful article was irrelevant, as the replicas were considered derivative works. He also said that Mark Towle's argument that the Batmobile was simply an automobile missed the fantastical aspect of its design and made it unique from regular vehicles. One of the things that sealed DC Comics' victory was that Mark used Batman marks when he advertised his knockoff cars. Those Bat design logos led to his customers to inquire if Mark was associated with the entertainment studio. However, when it came to the question of Mark being aware that his actions of creating replicas of the Batmobile committed copyright infringement, the court cannot determine as a matter of law that defendant's conduct constituted deliberate infringement. Mark testified that he believed that only the 1989 Batmobile had copyright infringement and had waited for the design patent to expire before selling the replicas. The court also said that the defendant couldn't use the laches defense argument because he willingly used the Batman trademark for advertising purposes. After the Federal District Court rendered its judgment, Mark Towle appealed. The copyright infringement case was brought to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which released its judgment in September 2015. The 3-judge panel, comprised of circuit judges Michael J. Malloy, J. S. Bybee, and Sandra S. Ikuda, based its ruling on the framework of the 3-part test. They concluded that the Batmobile was entitled to copyright protection, as it was an automotive character, and it also declared that DC Comics owned the copyright interest of the Batmobile, as the entertainment company never transferred its rights when they licensed it to produce derivative works. With the argument that Mark didn't sell the exact design of what was in the comics, the panel of judges ruled that when it comes to copyrightable characters such as the Batmobile, a replica need not be consistent in every aspect of the appearance, as long as the distinctive traits and attributes were present. Basically, the Court of Appeals only reaffirmed the ruling of the lower court. Mark Towle didn't give up on his fight, and so elevated the case to the Supreme Court. But in March 2016, the higher court decided not to hear any appeal about the case, which ended the copyright infringement issue about the Batmobile, which meant that no knockoffs would be allowed to be created without the approval of DC Comics Warner Brothers. After years of battling it out with DC Comics Warner Brothers and the court's ruling against him, some people thought that it ended Mark Towle's career. They couldn't be more wrong, as the lawsuit generated such wider interest in him and his car-building skills that a reality TV series was offered to him. It was at this time that Car Masters Rust to Riches was born. Initially, after the first season was aired, everyone thought it was canceled because no new episodes were aired in 2019. They were pleasantly surprised that it returned for a second season in 2020 and generated a loyal following. 2 more seasons were ordered by Netflix as fans couldn't get enough of the episodes. While Mark and his crew at Gotham Garage didn't post enough on their official Instagram page of Gotham Garage, it seemed that they were busy with work at the auto shop, customizing cars. They were also attending annual car events across the country and interacting with fans. Each time they uploaded a photo or posted something, they never forgot to promote the latest season of the reality TV show on Netflix. There was apprehension from some people that there might not be a 5th season because other members of the crew established their own businesses, but there were no hints or official statements that it had been canceled. The last season ended airing in July 2022, but loyal fans are expecting new episodes in July 2023. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.